Hi, everyone. This is Tori Vandelin with Prevent Connect. Ashley Klein Jimenez and I had a great conversation with Susan Sullivan of the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, talking about all things Sexual Assault Awareness Month 2021. On part one of this podcast, we talked about the theme for SAM 2021: We Can Build Safe Online Spaces. Here's the rest of our conversation with Susan.
A big piece of preventing sexual violence is changing norms that allow violence to occur and challenging and dismantling oppression and oppressive systems that cause violence. Susan, do you know of actions people can take online and offline to do that? Are there ones that you could share with our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. In many ways, the We Can Build campaign is about envisioning and taking action towards creating online communities that are more respectful and equitable. And so in planning for the campaign, our team, we found ourselves discussing how internet cultures contributed to normalizing sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, and ableism. And in a lot of ways, we've really come to expect to see these racist, degrading comments in online spaces. But all of these norms contribute to sexual abuse and assault. And so the actions individuals can take to intervene in response to harmful comments like that apply to a variety of the ways we see oppression and disrespect take place online.
Thanks, Susan. And, I think the great thing about online spaces is that, while we're talking about some of the harmful things that can occur and that people can feel like emboldened to say and do online, there's also so many amazing examples of people using online spaces to actually push back against some of this. And so I find so much inspiration from activists using like social media platforms to spread information, to have conversations, to just really challenge people in some of the normalization that has happened around not just violence, but also oppression. So I love that, we're having this conversation and not saying that like online spaces are bad and scary, but really like how can we create them in a way that lifts people up and that moves us forward in creating the communities that are healthy and safe for all of us. So, Susan, I know that the SAM website also includes some information about community-level sexual violence prevention, both in online spaces and outside of online spaces. Can you talk a little bit about why it's important to elevate community-level prevention during this year's Sexual Assault Awareness Month?
Sure. So, community level prevention, it's all about zooming out our efforts to focus on the big picture to change the larger level environment. And so not only is community level prevention a really key topic in our field right now, but we also recognize that with the many shifts of this past year due to the pandemic, we're all thinking about community in new and different ways. So whether we're talking about a local and geography-based community or workplaces, campuses, organizations, or other settings, there really is no either or. These groups simultaneously exist and connect online and offline. So community level prevention gives us an avenue to talk about how policies and practices guide us towards building safe and respectful communities whose online spaces also promote respect and also discourage harmful behaviors.
I really appreciate this conversation about finding the strength of online spaces and really using that as an opportunity to, like Ashley said, lift up and build community and create safe, supportive communities and spaces, both online and offline. So Susan, I really appreciate this focus on, how do we do community level prevention when we're in these spaces, and you know using online spaces maybe to talk about some of those policies and practices that people can be using online and offline, and especially the online activism that we see to challenge harmful norms. And I think that that leads really well into our next question, which is always one of my favorite things to follow along with every Sexual Assault Awareness Month. But I know it's going to be a little bit different this year. And we're talking about the 30 Days of Sam campaign. So, looking back at last year's, I feel like there's no doubt in anyone's mind that what you all have planned for this year's Sexual Assault Awareness Month is different from last year, considering last April was the first full month of the COVID pandemic that a lot of us were experiencing with stay-at-home orders, etc. But we also know some things stay the same, like having a 30 Days of Sam. Can you tell us what to expect from the 30 Days of Sam campaign this year?
Yeah, so the 30 Days of Sam Instagram challenge has been such a popular activity for many folks over the last few years. For those that aren't familiar with it, it's pretty simple. Every day of the month, we give that open-ended prompt, and folks respond to our prompts by posting an image on their organizational accounts with photos or captions that respond. And we just see tremendous turnout, and folks just get more and more creative and innovative every year. But in years past, like you mentioned, it did look a little bit different. Folks would use the challenge as an opportunity to showcase in-person SAM events or ways they were getting involved, individually or with groups in their communities. So this year's, responses will definitely reflect the ways that SAM activities, will have gone almost completely digital, we expect this year. And, we did keep that in mind when coming up with the campaign prompts this year. And they, a lot of them do reflect that and reflect, the state of where we're at with the movement and the pandemic, and, reflecting that the theme of, online harassment and abuse. And so that ties a lot into some of the prompts this year. But one of the prompts that I'm thinking of, we look at popular challenges on Instagram, and one of them is the then and now prompt. And so for April 14th this year, the 30 Days of Sam, we said, tell us about activism then and now. So share a side-by-side photos that show how the pandemic's impacted the ways you reach people or engage with SAM. For instance, that might look like maybe you used to have physical resources, but now you have a new online resource. Now that's just a basic example, but I'm sure, we'll see that day, we'll learn a lot about the ways people are impacted and their SAM efforts are impacted by COVID. So we also expect to see an increase in participation this year, as many folks have found the challenge to be not only a great way to connect with their online audience and folks in their community, but with other advocates across the country who are also getting involved in SAM. So we really think we'll see more folks participating in 2021 than years prior.
That's so cool. I know that in years past, I've participated, and I've also followed along with the hashtag. And I don't know, Tori, I might have to participate this year and get Panda the prevention pig involved.
Okay, but you know what I was thinking while Susan was talking? I have a teal harness for my dog. So I think you and I need to connect after this podcast and plan how we're going to feature all the animals of Prevent Connect during 30 Days of Sam.
I love it. I'm going to order a teal cape for Panda, the prevention pig.
I love it.
Oh, Susan, you just watch that feed for all of our Prevent Connect animals to come across.
We're going to be watching.
Okay. You've shared with us so many great just pieces of what we can expect from this year's campaign, and I'm really excited. I think the great thing this year is that we are kind of all fixated on what's happening virtually. And so there's a lot of kind of action, and it's just the way that we have been communicating. And so I I think that it's great that there's lots of creativity going into, how people are continuing to commemorate SAM and to just push their prevention work forward throughout the year, not just in April. But I'm wondering, as we come to a close with you, if you have other resources or tips for our listeners as we head into April, SAM 2021.
Absolutely. So I'd say if you've been listening to this and this sort of content is what you're looking for, you're looking to get involved in SAM, maybe to organize an online event, or to just see how you can maybe share some graphics on your personal pages, whatever it is. I would encourage you to sign up for NSVRC's email list so you can really stay in the loop with all of the campaign updates that are going to be coming out, over the next month or so. And you can do that by heading over to nsvrc.org and hitting the subscribe button at the top corner of that page. We'll be sending out SAM updates when new campaign materials go live, and you'll get content right to your inbox, like online organizing and social media guidance, information on the SAM Day of Action, which is going to be Tuesday, April 6th, and more information on the 30 days of SAM, like we just discussed. And additionally, you can also search hashtag SAM 2021 on social media to stay in the loop with the campaign, and use that hashtag as well to share how you're getting involved in SAM.
Thank you so much for providing that information. We'll make sure to link to the website and make sure everyone has that hashtag, so we can all kind of stay afloat of all the action that's happening online. Tori, any final thoughts? I know that, I've been participating in Sexual Assault Awareness Month now for like 17 years. And this one certainly will be different. But I just have to go back again to there's so much kind of creativity and resourcefulness, and also making connections to other things that are happening across digital platforms. So I'm really looking forward and am interested to see how this year's SAM will inform SAM to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm really excited for SAM this year. I'm excited for all of the thought and intention that has gone into how do we create a really great online month of awareness that will lead to action and change. And I also, I really appreciate that there was so much thought and intention and motivation behind SAM this year, because in a year where things have completely been shaken up and we kind of don't know what to expect anymore, it's been really nice to have this consistency of, even in really, really dark times, we still have our Sexual Assault Awareness Month activities. We're still virtually gathering, virtually connecting, and building that momentum to sustain the movement and to, just have a month to connect and organize and strategize for ways that we're going to keep on with preventing sexual violence year round, even through, really, really challenging times. So I really appreciate this conversation and, the continuity that we've had from years before. And in all honesty, I'm going to log off and start planning my 30 Days of SAM Instagram challenge posts.
Love it, Tori. Me too. Well, thank you again, Susan, for taking time out of your day to chat with us and share with us about all of the stuff you all have coming up, all of the resources that folks will be able to access, and really looking forward to the success of this campaign this year.
Thank you both so much for inviting me to share about SAM with you and your listeners. I hope it was helpful, and I hope everyone has a successful SAM campaign.
Thanks for listening. All resources mentioned on this podcast are linked where you can find this podcast on our website.